known this guy all his life. Not all my life, all his life.
That's true.
Like our mother, who was an inspiration to her generation and their children, Mitch is an inspiration to our generation and our children. Love you for that. In one particular part of the book, he talks about the sturgeon men don't have any affection, but notice I've got my arms around his shoulder.
It's not like I'm uncomfortable.
And I knew you'd be uncomfortable, that's why I'm doing it. But even more uncomfortable, I do love you.
All right, I love you too.
Please welcome, for the first time in public, the author, Mitch Sturgeon.
Bring it in as close as you can.
Hello, hello? Hello, okay. All right, thanks everyone for coming. I had a lot of things to say, I can't remember one of them. Oh yeah, the first thing I want to do is introduce the person that's as responsible as anyone for me getting this book out. She's my best friend, she's my caregiver, and most importantly, the love of my life, Kim. So, how about those Red Sox? Okay, so let's see. In this first excerpt, I'm going to read a couple excerpts. In this first one, I'm a sophomore in high school, and I've been unlucky in love. Yeah. For example, as a freshman, I dated an 8th grader, and she wanted me just for my class rank. And when I wouldn't give her the class ring, she broke up with me. And then there was another case a year earlier when I was in the 8th grade and the young lady was in 9th grade. And near the beginning of the date, she got up from her seat at the movies, went to get popcorn, and never returned. So I saw her walk out of the movies later with a handsome senior. Yeah. Okay, so keep those two stories in mind as I read this excerpt. The popcorn story and the class ring story. Okay, so this is from chapter 9. It's called Rules of Romance. During my sophomore year on the high school track team, my future wife stood out among the other freshman runners because of her blazing speed, playful personality, and nice ass. When I showed interest in her, Kim responded flirtatiously, and we began to seek out each other during track practices and on the bus rides to and from meets. If a boy wanted to get anywhere with a girl, he had to follow a certain process, or so I was told. It started at hand-holding, followed by putting your arm around her at the movies, then kissing, and more if you were so lucky. Like a video game, the boy had to win at one level before he could advance to the next. Sometimes I didn't know what each stage entailed, in which case I asked Dave. He knew everything about girls. As was my nature, I assumed the steps should be performed more or less clinically, without eye contact, affection, or least of all, passion. On our first date, I held Kim's hand as we walked into the movie theater. Step 1, check. Early in the movie, I raised my right arm and put it around Kim. Step 2, check. I felt nervous as hell, but at least I had the manual, the standard operating procedure to guide me. I can do this, I told myself. I never considered that girls could have a different instruction manual than boys, or no manual at all. I expected to be in complete control until she said no or stop. Instead, Kim improvised by leaning in and laying her head on my chest. Questionable behavior, borderline affectionate. I let it slide. Then she gently stroked my forearm. This was a most unexpected development. What kind of a freak am I dating? Despite these misgivings, I found myself intoxicated by the rise and fall of her breath on my neck and chest, the tickling of a stray hair on my cheek, the smell of her perfume. When she stopped stroking my forearm for a moment, I wanted to tell her to continue, but I couldn't find the words. I consulted the manual. It was mute on the subject. I wondered if there could be more to the process than the mechanics. Could I appreciate some gestures for what they were and not for where they might lead? Kim had nudged me into uncharted territory. This turn of events fascinated me. This girl intrigued me. If she had asked for my class ring, I would have given it to her. If she had gone to get popcorn, I would have followed her.